The following unofficial rebroadcast of Twit Live is brought to you by Odd TV and Cashfly. Cashfly's global network delivers your content, ensuring your website, streaming media, and downloads exceed expectations at cashfly.com.
Does anyone from the chat room have any questions for the Axia dudes? They want to know what your engineering background is, Kirk.
I'm self-taught by putting my hands in the transmitters and shocking myself enough to knowing where all the electrons hide out. And I'm quite serious about that. Yeah. And I read a lot of manuals.
A lot of dry reading right there.
You guys, I'm just that quiet. Here, I'll boost my levels.
Oh, there we go. Hello. Hello.
I'm quiet.
Hello.
Yeah. Oh. I guess we could get into this.
So, my...
More cowbell.
Well, that was the poll on the Twit TV page that I set up until recently. It was, if you have a fever, what is the cure? Acetaminophen or more cowbell.
That's great.
78% of people agreed that it was more cowbell.
Eric Bays says, very astute thing, Colleen needs the Sarah profile, and that's very true.
No, I need the opposite of the Sarah profile. I do this a lot.
Right, but we've adjusted for that for Sarah.
Right, but Sarah's profile we're de-shrilling, and mine we should...
That's true. That's true. You need a different EQ curve than she does.
You're not a screamer.
No, I'm not a screamer. I'm too quiet.
Oh!
And my voice sounds deeper than I would like.
Oh, I can get the chat right here.
It's like it's magic.
Kirk, is there a good solution for volume leveling for music between different tracks? So what would the playback device be?
I'm actually nearly incapable of shouting.
Wow.
They want to know where they put their credit card to purchase one of these.
Well, the Axia system is intended for broadcasters and professionals, and it's kind of priced accordingly. This is everything that's in here from Telos Omnia Axia is a list price. It's about $43,000 worth. That's what the purchase order said.
Realistically, though, for people who are going to be buying something like this, that's real reasonable.
Well, yeah, it depends on your facility. Yeah, sure would. Go to axiaaudio.com. Axia, A-X-I-A, audio, all one word.
Wait, hold on. They're saying you said the price?
axiaaudio.com. Oh, that's great.
Wait, how much is a power station?
Well, the power station box itself is $8,000.
Okay.
The Surface itself may be anywhere from $3,000 to $12,000 or so. So you got to add those two things together. But you guys also have a power station aux, which is a backup power supply and more inputs and outputs. And you also have a new Extreme, which you didn't have to have, but I thought it'd be cool if you had a live wire capable Extreme.
Yes.
The old one was not. And then you also have an Omnia 1 and you have an Omnia 8X. The Omnia 1's about $3,000. The 8X is about $5,500.
Okay, your equipment is far more reasonably priced than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's actually not that bad. I would have thought it would be in the 100+ range.
How much is installation worth?
Well,
you'd have to hire him for his time, him for his time.
I don't know what other industries are, but typically, if you hire somebody from our company or a lot of broadcast companies to come in, the list price is about $1,200 a day plus lodging and travel and food. So
you guys eat?
This has been about $8,000 worth of installation. So it's about $50,000 altogether what we've done. Yeah. So.
Thank you for it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And by that I mean Leo thanks you. And I don't even know who this guy is. So.
Oh.
No, really, I don't. Put the camera on.
He represents all listeners who say
I represent listeners.
Oh gosh.
I guess we're gonna find out who you are tomorrow.
Oh.
I am a friend.
Yeah, $8,000 in food. Yeah.
I bought them like
Kirk, actually, somebody wants to know, does it come in Chrome? The Element consoles are available in 3 different color schemes. This is the dark color scheme that I personally prefer, but there are 2 lighter looking color schemes. They're all shown on the website, axiaaudio.com. And we've had to work a lot on that. Hey, Kevin H. from Nashville. Battery backup. Colleen says it's going to be hooked to a battery backup if it's not already.
It will be when I feel like it. There are two instances in which things occur here. When Colleen damn well pleases, or when Leo decides she damn well pleases.
So let's see. Web 163, you're very welcome. What does someone like you eat other than vacuum tubes? Like to eat? I eat just about anything. I'm an omnivore, very much so.
What do you think of vacuum tube audio?
Somebody asked if this is complex compared to other installations, and yeah, this had a lot of interesting challenges. A lot of much more PCs than most radio stations have, and some of them didn't like our drivers, so we had to do a few workarounds.
And we use our PCs for stuff that nobody else uses them for.
That's true.
You've never worked with a Skypeosaurus or a Streamosaurus before.
Yeah.
Because I invented them.
You right? Yeah.
And what's the number of the Realtek chipset on the Skypeosaurus?
Somebody asked, I'm really proud to say, the Pat asked Kirk, how was the setup easier than expected? You know what? It was almost exactly as I expected. I expected that there would be problems of about this magnitude. I'm not giving myself a pat on the back, but this is really what I expected, that I couldn't have done it by myself. I had to have Milos here, and I had to have Colleen here. And then, of course, Eric and Cody made the testing possible. You always need warm bodies for that.
Yes, I'm a warm body.
So it really was about what I expected. It was more difficult than a typical installation, but it was very solvable by the smart people who were here. Is this the smallest studio? No, there are smaller studios than this, certainly. If Leo would like a number 2 anchor, I'd be very happy to, except I live in Nashville, but Skype makes all that possible. Hey, Web 512. Hello. Hello in Pittsburgh. Warm bodies are better than cold bodies. The cold bodies don't talk.
You make them talk like marionettes.
Hey, Kirk, paper or plastic?
Paper or plastic? Well, if I shopped at the same store, I would bring my own bags. I'm kind of like that. But I often wonder, when I bring a few boxes to the recycle center and I spend the gas doing that, I really wonder if it's worthwhile, but I do it anyway. Yes, Kirk did work in radio, but I couldn't make enough money at radio because I was a really terrible disc jockey.
I think that recycling everything is kind of like making your kids brush their teeth when they're baby teeth. Other than like gingivitis and stuff, they're going to lose those teeth anyway, but it's to build good habits.
These, Kirk, can you fix my A-track? I'm sorry, hey, Argentina, I'm coming to Argentina at the end of October to the Caper Expo in Buenos Aires. Look forward to that. Is it possible to get the software only shown on the back left monitor, or do you have to buy the whole board as well? Yeah, that software is Linux, but it's very specific to the hardware, and so it has to have the hardware. Hey, New Zealand, I was just in Auckland in February. It was wonderful. I'm sorry, Kirk, VI or Emacs. I'm not very good at all that. I'm sorry. Why
Emacs.
Nashville? Because when I moved there, it was halfway between my parents and my daughters, and I do like. I do like. I just like Nashville.
Line out? Oh.
Boy, I wish I could keep up. This is so fast. I used to live in Cleveland, Mississippi. Actually, Boyle, Mississippi. How about that?
Boyle, Mississippi.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound nice.
Well, when it was my turn to be mayor, I was going to change the name of the town. By the way, I'm loving Petaluma. What a beautiful town. This is so cool. I absolutely love Petaluma. It's a lot like Franklin, Tennessee, just down the road from where I live. You know, Sheryl Crow bought a house in Franklin recently. Who's the gray-haired guy from the Doobie Brothers?
Country Bumpkin.
No. Good gosh. I live a mile and a half from Martina McBride.
Who's that?
Never mind. Hey, Palestine, Texas. Oh, Michael McDonald. Yes, it's Michael McDonald. He's got a farm or something just outside of Franklin, Tennessee. Yes, sir.
How do we use the talkback and preview?
Whatever you put in preview gets mixed in with the bleed speaker. So if you need to preview something that normally wouldn't be in the bleed speaker, just pop it and hit the preview button. And it'll also come into the headphones. The talkback The talkback buttons on the
Nihongo
console
Hanashimasu?
are only for the operator's use.
Oh, I thought
So
you
in
were
other words,
laughing at what
if
I
you
said.
push
No, no,
talkback,
no.
I can't talk back somebody. That mic is routed
Someone in the chat
to
room
the
said anyone from
source
Japan,
when you
so
push
I
the
was
talkback button.
insulting
So the way it's used.
the
Let's say you
foreigners.
want. Let's say that
being
John C.
stupid and
Dvorak
not
is
being
sitting
able to
right
speak
here, and I have
Japanese.
my headphones on. Now, if I don't have headphones on, you can't talk back to me. But if I have my headphones on with
They
my
say the
own
sound is great on my
personal
mic
headphone
now. That's
feed,
because I'm basically
then if you push talkback, it dims or
Yes.
cuts out what I'm hearing of the program, and that mic is connected to my headphones. And
Konnichiwa,
Leo can say,
Miki-chan.
John, it's time to go baste your meat. See? And only John will hear that. But it's so funny that everybody should hear that. What would be a good sound and mic solution cheap for a podcast? You can do a great podcast with a $200 Behringer console. You really can. I really like these Heil mics. There's plenty of mics out. I mean, for a good entertainment quality mic, it's just fine. I think a lot more has to do with technique, and a lot more has to do with a little bit of mic processing and just training your voice to be intelligible and clear than the equipment that you're talking into. You know, Leo would sound good on a telephone.
So do you want to tune
So-
my voice real quick for PC Perspective?
Tune your voice for PC Perspective.
Okay, I do a show
Yeah.
called PC Perspective, and
We can
everyone
do that.
hates my voice.
What do I think of Rode mics? Some people call them Rode. Other people call them Rode. I like them fine. A good friend of mine has a voiceover studio in Charleston, South Carolina. He used a Rode for a long time until he could afford a Neumann. But the Neumann was really just the same reason he drives a BMW Z4, because he wanted to impress people.
Well, I think it's mic.
Behringer, made by Dutch maids in sweatshops. Maybe so. Kirk is part owner of 4 radio stations, 2 in Mississippi, WKYX and WROX, and 2 in American Samoa, KKHJ, and WVUV-FM. So they're available on the internet. If you go to Shoutcast and do a search for KKHJ, or maybe 93 KHJ, because we're 93 FM, you'll find those radio stations.
Somebody wants to know
Why K and W
I know this
colors?
one.
That's
I know
a
this
great,
one.
No, but no. What they want to know is, why do we have 2 stations in American Samoa, which is far west of the Mississippi River, with one with a K and one with a W call letter? And the reason is because in 1947, when the WVUV call letters were assigned, somebody at the FCC did not realize that American Samoa was west of the Mississippi River.
That's awesome.
So there you go. Kirk needs to do a Radio Tech podcast. Just stand by. I'm not Leo's brother.
Can you guys put on shades up?
FM 58 or SM 58. You know, I'm sorry, I don't know the difference. There's so much about mics that I'm not an expert on. I do tend to do mics for broadcast, but not for recording studios. So in broadcast, we tend to use a lot of EV-RE20s, which are really kind of crappy, but they're such a standard everywhere, and RE27s. And these Heil mics are tuned for the human voice, so they're actually pretty good. Somebody wants to know, Web 4938, why the giveaway to Twit? Wasn't my decision. Wasn't my decision.
Because if it was, well, shit.
If it was my decision, it would have been done 2 years ago.
No, if it was his decision, it would have been given away to a podcasting company in Hawaii. And he would have spent 2 months installing it there.
KDKA does predate that convention in Pittsburgh. It was the first, I think the first licensed station, KDKA. I've been there, done that. Has the link to Premiere been tested? No, it hasn't, because the studio was busy with Dr. Dean Edel all day, and we couldn't test it, so we're going to do it tomorrow morning. Could you use STL over the internet to replace Skype? I think they might mean that the other way around. I'm not sure what the question means. Kirk, are you in Canada or Vancouver soon helping out with 2010 Olympics? No. But some of our dealers are. We have a dealer in Toronto, BSE, that usually does Olympic stuff. Twort, this week in Radio Tech. No, not Tech Radio, Radio Tech.
Now we gotta hear that audio.
As if the feud between Twit and Twitter wasn't big enough. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Do you listen to Twit often? Yeah, I really do. I Security Now, and This Week in Tech, and Windows Weekly. I'm a faithful listener to all of those. Howard Stern or Don Imus?
Douchebags.
Actually, neither. But if I liked Imus from back in the 70s, and I liked Howard Stern from whenever he started. But I don't listen to either one now. Baba Booey.
Oh, yeah, Imus is great if you
I've
like
never been to
belligerent-
Maine. but I kind of like the music.
That's the mic input.
Would my standard mic from Stern work, or would I need one like Leo's standard mic from Stern? I don't understand that question. Yeah, I love security now. Awesome.
Perfect.
No, I'm Windows and Mac and
Unless you
Linux.
can get the manual and.
Not much Linux, but I wish I knew more about it.
Wasn't Linux
This Week in Audio. Ooh, there's a good
Isn't
idea.
Linux one of those
that
operating
one, somebody
systems?
go get the URL. Nobody on this chat.
Isn't that where you have the same Linux relationship that I do, where you really want to use it and you keep trying it, but every so often you just hit that one thing and you're like, oh, I hate this, and
That's
you take
exactly it. I really want to use it, and I keep running against things that frustrate me, and I try to do I Google it, I find, here's the fix, and I type all the stuff in, and it breaks
it off. Yeah,
everything,
you
and nothing
type the
works.
stuff in. Everyone tells you the fix in the command line.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Because you know what I
Yeah.
love? The command line.
Crunchy or smooth? Crunchy. And my wife likes smooth, so, yeah.
I think Leo should go back to doing this.
I don't listen to Opie and Anthony. Sorry,
So
I
that you can
don't,
actually
don't
see his
listen to
face.
it. Okay, now I'm sure I'm going to piss a lot of people off, but everybody's asking what I listen to. I listen to Neil Bortz out of Atlanta on WSB, and he's a big libertarian with
Good.
a lot of ideas that are uncomfortable for a lot of people. But if you liked Ron Paul, you'd probably like
I liked Mike
Neil
Gravel.
Bortz. What's that?
Do you know Mike Gravel?
No, I don't. I'm
He's
sorry.
like, he ran as a Democrat, but he's very libertarian.
Oh.
You see, I like libertarianism as many concepts, but there's a point where it doesn't always apply to everything. So I'm more of a practicalist, and I think he is too.
Hey, MacDuck loves Bortz. What was I gonna?
Someone says flat tax. No, I'm all about sales tax being all the taxes, because that way you get all the people who are doing things illegally.
And that would be
everyone has to buy
and
something.
that would be the fair tax. I would really like the fair tax to be passed.
Yep.
But hey, it would be nice if I could make an audible pick of the week.
Go for it.
My audible pick of the week would be "Capitalism: The Unknown Ideal" by Ayn Rand. And it's not, the whole book's not written by her, it was edited by her, so there's some
Beatrice
things in there
said-
by Alan Greenspan and a couple
Gravel
other
is not-
authors. But, so, there you go. All your
Beatrice said
pages will-
Gravel is not libertarian, and you know what? That's correct. He ran as a Democrat, which is fine. I think my favorite thing about the Democrats and the Republicans is how they've convinced the world that they're actually different.
Somebody asked, any good idea on a Skype computer headset? No, I've not found one that's just the be-all, end-all. I really haven't. I've bought a bunch of them. Haven't found one that I like. Somebody needs to make, those gamer headsets have such big honking earpieces. They're too big.
Right. What we're doing now is we have these new mini XLR, which will convert to full-size XLR headsets that come around, and they're just here. And then you plug that right into an XLR to USB thing from Shure or Blue.
Yeah. What I'm probably end up doing is end up using Ultimate Ears earbuds and a Countryman mic. The little naked mic that comes around to the side here, like performance
Countryman.
on stage use.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a Countryman mic, but
No, we're not talking about Countrymen. There's also, I'm answering the chat room. We have ones that are generic Countrymans, and we also have ones that we're going to be sending out that are AKGs, which actually come right in front of the mouth and are completely directional.
can you route audio over internet using Axia products? Okay, this is important to explain the difference. And yes, I do listen to George Norrie sometime. I get a big kick out of that. I've been in his studio
Can you point
at
that camera
Premiere.
at him?
Okay, here's the difference between what we're doing in this studio versus audio over the internet at large. Hey, Laura.
Oh, you don't want to be on camera, do you?
It's my wife, Laura Harnack.
Is it okay for her to be on camera?
Wave. There you
Okay,
go.
then you can be on camera if you're waving.
So here's the deal. The audio in this studio is linear audio over IP. Each audio stream is 5 megabits per second and will only travel over a piece of Cat6 cable or the equivalent thereof. And the internet sure ain't a piece of Cat6 cable. So that's linear audio. Bit rate reduced audio, and I use that big term, bit rate reduced, because when we say compressed audio, do we mean audibly compressed or do we mean data compressed? So that's a term that unfortunately can be misunderstood. So AAC or MP3 or other bit rate reduction schemes, are appropriate for use over the internet.
It's all a scheme.
It's all a scheme. So,
By the liberal elite.
what is linear? What does linear signify? The audio on the Axia system has not been compressed in any way. You put ones and zeros in, you get the same ones and zeros out exactly down to the 24th bit. So there's no manipulation of the data to get it through the pipes, in other words. So that's linear audio. If you put AES audio in or SPDIF audio in, you would get exactly the same audio out if you use our system as a router.
Am I correct in my understanding that if you put a good analog in source and it went through your system and you played it over good speakers, your system records beyond CD quality?
Yeah, because when CDs were designed, the top of the tech at that time was 16-bit bit depth and 44.1 sampling, because all that made it fit on what they could make on an optical disc. So 16-bit audio quality is pretty good. It's 96 dB dynamic range, and that's pretty reasonable. The problem comes when we do things to that, we end up reducing the dynamic range. If we mix it, if we do AD and DA conversions at 16 bits, we can end up with what is essentially 12 or 13-bit audio, and that starts to sound a little noisy to our ears, and is not so acceptable to the audiophile. 24-bit depth is 138 decibel dynamic range, quite a bit more than 96. And that gives us room to manipulate the audio in DSPs, in mixers, where we have math processors that are working down at the 20 and 21st bit level. So we can get really good quality if we start out with 24-bit and end up giving out 24-bit. So yeah, on this system, our analog in to analog out quality is about 106 to 108 dB dynamic range, which is 10 or 12 more dB than a CD would be. So there you go. CD 16-bit barely gives you enough headroom. But if you want to do a lot of manipulation to it, like a lot of mixing in Audition or on an audio console, you can run out of headroom. Okay, back to the IP audio. So everything in this room with the Axia system is linear IP audio. We've got to have a closed system. This is not quite like internet audio because we have control over the switch, the Ethernet switch. We have control over all the ports, the inputs and outputs. Oh, thank you. Are you cleaning up? Is that why I'm getting this? Okay. So over the internet, we can't send 5 megabits per second. This is also unbuffered. There's no buffering going on in these audio streams. All the audio devices are clocked. All the receiving devices are expecting the next frame of audio in a packet to come down when it's expected. So there's no buffering going on. If you're using any kind of internet audio, you've got some buffering in there. If you're listening to Winamp, you've probably got anywhere between 6 and 20 seconds of buffering going on. So you can have some burps in the audio in the packet stream, and you'll never hear those problems coming out of Winamp. So, Eric, on the back of the chair in the other room, there is a box made by us. Would you unplug the 2 plugs that are in the back of it and bring it here? It's the black thing that looks like an Extreme. Yeah, that. So Telos worked really hard for the past few years to develop an audio over IP codec that would be suitable for broadcast, that would have the lowest possible latency and would be easy to use. You wouldn't have to think about IP addresses, or perhaps you wouldn't even have to think about opening ports. Thank you, Eric.
You've got a camera now, by the way.
Which one?
Right up here.
Oh, hello. Hello. So this box is made by Telos. It's called the Zephyr IP, and the notion of this box is that it's an IP codec, so it takes audio in, gives audio out, but rather than connecting to an ISDN line like Leo's Zephyr that he has here, it connects to the public internet. And the notion behind the algorithms in this is that it's got the ability to automatically adjust the coding bit rate, so it can be 24 kilobits or 48 kilobits or 64 kilobits per second. So it can dynamically adjust that. Yes, you hear the difference in quality, but the audio doesn't go away. It just gets better or worse as conditions allow. And then it also has the ability to adjust its buffer size. Now here's the trick. Okay, follow me on this. This is a very smart idea. A couple of the more sophisticated codecs that we use have error concealment. so they can put up with some packet loss, up to about 5% packet loss, and you don't hear it because they have error concealment. So the idea here is what we do is we reduce the buffer and reduce the buffer during the broadcast. We reduce the receive buffer on each end of this box, and we reduce that receive buffer until we get to 0 buffer or until we drop a packet. If we drop a packet, we know, aha, we can't be at that small of a buffer anymore. So it's okay that we dropped a packet because the codec has error concealment. So then we just increase the buffer size. And we try to find a buffer size that's going to work long term over that particular connection. On wired internet connections, tends to work very well. This will also work over Wi-Fi or 3G with a USB stick in the back of it. 3G is pretty crappy. You can get, a couple of minutes of great audio, a great packet transmission, and then you'll get several seconds of nothing happening. And this has happened with both of the carriers that I've tried. And in fact, it's even kind of cyclical. So we're still working out the algorithms to find a reliable middle ground when using 3G services. And when WiMAX, we've tried this on WiMAX from Clearwire, and it's worked really well. But that's with very few users on the Clearwire system at that time. We've got that in Nashville. Okay, so yeah, internet over the audio probably got to be compressed and buffered, and you've got to have plenty of headroom for the buffering latency, or for the buffering to take care of variability and latency, and then you've also got to have you've got to over-provision the link or underutilize the link. That's what I'm looking for. If you don't have a smart IP codec like the Zephyr IP, if you just have, there's wonderful boxes made by Barix, very inexpensive box, B-A-R-I-X. They make IP codecs, but they're not smart. So you've got to over-provision the link, or you've got to underutilize the link to make sure it's always going to work. This Week in Kirk. That would be so funny. Well, thanks. I know what I'm talking about a couple of things, but not much.
Colleen, tell Leo to let Kirk on a show and just to explain the sounds of similar attack.
AAC or MP3? Well, okay. If FLAC, yes. Well, if you got the bandwidth, FLAC is wonderful. But if you don't have 700 kilobits per second, AAC is better.
No.
Yeah, it is.
No.
Yeah, it is.
No.
Yeah, it is.
Fewer things.
Not what?
Compatible with fewer things.
Well, they're asking about audio quality.
Oh, well, audio quality kind of sucks when you can't listen to it.
That's true. The audio quality is 0. AAC is 30% more efficient than MP3. MP3 is more common, absolutely. At the same bit rate, AAC is better than MP3. MP3 at 128 is about equal to AAC at 96.
What do you feel about OGG?
I don't know enough about OGG. I think it's close enough to MP3 to be just fine. No, AAC came several years after MP3. MP3 was developed. This is an interesting story, and someday we're going to, maybe Leo will have me on to talk about this. The best guy to have on would be the founder of our company, Telos, Steve Church. He could tell you some very interesting stories about the development of MP3 and how it came about. But Telos was the very first licensee of MP3 anywhere in the world. And it wasn't a file format. It was intended as a transmission format. MP3 was designed as part of a contest to see which coding algorithm would be used for DAB broadcasting, digital audio broadcasting, DAB, in Europe. Well, MPEG Layer 2 won the contest. So Fraunhofer had spent a bunch of money developing MP3 but had no customer for it, so they put it on the shelf and fired all the employees. We hired one of the employees, a guy in Freising, Germany, named Tony Timmet. He works for us. And some months after the project was over, Steve Church figured out that if you bond two ISDN lines together for 128 kilobits, that was the same as the target bit rate for MP3, 128 kilobits per second. And so he went to Fraunhofer in, I want to say it was 93, but I could be wrong. But I think it was 93 or 94, and made a deal with them to license MP3. And unfortunately, he had the chance to license it exclusively around the world forever, but we didn't have enough money to pay for that, so we just licensed it on a non-exclusive basis around the world. So there you go. The new audio format, Kirk, lossless. Yes. Well, there's no reason to record onto hard drives compressed anymore. I guess with an iPod, there's still a reason.
Yeah.
Do you like Picard or James T? James T. Yeah. Lame. Sorry.
It's all about Janeway.
Who?
Janeway.
Janeway.
What happens to Scott?
No, actually, my favorite would be Malcolm from Firefly.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
That's my boy.
Yeah. Yep. Audio levels on Twit AM only streams are low. Okay, the twit.am streams are low. Where's that encoded at? Okay. Colleen says don't worry about it. Live sound, no speakers to interfere, just 100% natural, all live sound. Yes, it's true.
Live sound actually sounds far worse to me than recorded because recorded has been modified to something.
Kirk would have sex with the green chicks. Well, before I found Laura, I would have, yes. Summer Glau, yes, or no.
No, it's all about Kaylee.
Kaylee, oh, I love Kaylee. Yeah, she's awesome.
Kaylee's my girl.
She's awesome. What would be the best method for converting MP3 to lossless, and would it make a difference? No, it still sounds just like MP3. There'd be no improvement. You've already ruined it. Well, you've already made it what it is by making it MP3. You know what was interesting? When MP3 first came out, most human beings could not hear the difference between MP3 at 128 and linear. But after we listened to MP3 for a few years, our ears began to understand the shortcomings. And so now, for me, it's not hard at all to identify not what codec is being used. I'm not that good, or not what bitrate is being used. But if you tell me, well, I mean, if I know it's MP3 at 128, or even if I don't know, I can hear, yeah, that sounds like it was coded somewhere along the line.
So real quick, I have a question for you. What I just tested is I pulled up a video on YouTube, and it doesn't play over the bleed speakers.
It doesn't. Well, it absolutely should, because the bleed speaker is just not turned up or something. Because it did earlier.
Oh, so if I turned up the monitor at night.
Some people are asking, still can identify MP3 at 320 or 192. Okay, there's a wonderful paper that the Audio Engineering Society, it was the EBU, but I don't know which one it was. I bought this paper for like $35, copy of the paper at the AES convention.
Yep, there we go.
All right. Here's the bottom line. Most any codec at 384 kilobits or above is golden ear quality or close enough. So most any expert agrees. MPEG-2, MPEG-3, AAC, and probably APT, which is proprietary. Any of those at 384 kilobits or above, you are absolutely golden with those. The audio quality is, as my boss Steve Church would say, is unimpeachable. Unimpeachable.
Kirk, at what bit rate do you find lossless and compression indistinguishable?
For me, it's about 384. But I'm not the best in the world at listening to that, so that's... I've never read the Urentia book. Is that how you pronounce that? Urentia? The bleed speaker is pulling too many watts. Yeah, it kind of is.
Your mother pulls too many watts.
Somebody asked, did I ever like Super Audio CDs? I saw a demo of them, and I never got to buy one or use one. Do I use the Sonos? No. Don't have one of those. Lights off.
So we are going to go into reruns now.
Okay. I'm not a musician. I wish I was. I think I could actually be one, but I've never taken the time to try. I pick up my daughter's guitar sometimes, but I'm just terrible. I don't have the... I don't know. I just give up. Sorry.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. Say goodbye to Kirk.
It's been fun. Hope to talk to you again sometime, and sometime we'll have Twort.
See you guys later.
Thanks. Bye.